Right now we're going to install the diesel heater. It comes with a little spool of nylon fuel line. I didn't want to run like 20 feet of that nylon line because they don't give you enough, first of all, and I'd have to go find some more. So I went out and found this steel brake line. And it came in a coil. I got to straighten it out, and this is what I'm going to run down because we're going to have two heaters. So I'll run this down, split it off, and then we'll switch to the nylon line closer towards the fuel tank. You just got to be real careful with this brake line. You'll kink it when you're straightening it out, and then you got to either put a splice or you have to, well, cut it off and use just that little bit. We're going to have two heaters in here. The fuel tank for those heaters are going to be way back there in the living room. The first heater's in the living room. The second heater is right here. Where's the first one going to be?
Right under those wires, right there.
Right here?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the fuel tank is probably going to be like right here.
Under the floor.
Under the floor, of course.
That's important information.
Yeah. So we need to get a fuel line from right here under the truck all the way to the front. And then tie into this first heater. First appliance being installed. This is not the bag that I want. Is this cheap diesel heater. It's a cheap Chinese diesel heater. Like 150 bucks on Amazon, which is why we're getting two of them. Partially because they're cheap and partially because they're cheap. Financially, it's inexpensive, so we can afford to buy two. If we went to a Webasto or something like that, they're like $1.50. And then also, living in Alaska, the last thing you want to be without is heat. So because there's cost so little, I don't trust, so I'm going to get two. This is that heater. This plate was not in here, it's loose in the box, but this plate gets mounted to the bottom of the heater, and then that gets mounted to the floor through these 4 screws. This tank is what comes with it. I'm not going to use this one this time. I used the one from the first heater last time, just because we were installing it temporarily. I want a lot more capacity than just this tank, so I'm going to build my own. And then this is our heater. It's very simple. It's just, I'm going to take a picture so you can see. It's a very simple design, and I'm surprised that it cost so much originally, because it's literally just a burner chamber in here, a glow plug to ignite the fuel at first, a blower. This blower turns this fan, or this motor turns this fan, which also turns a impeller on the inside, and this fan draws the cold air across the heat sink, turns the cold air to hot air comes out the front. It's a very simple design. Really, there's no reason why they should cost about $1,000. If you go to like your Home Depot or local hardware supply store or whatever, they have little, well, not little, they have big diesel burner torpedo style heaters that are 200 bucks, 250 bucks. There's no reason why this can't cost the exact same amount. We're not using one of those in here because they're way too big, and this has the air intake right here and the air exit right here on the outside of your living space. So the actual combustible air comes in one side and then out the other, and then the hot air blows across these fans, or the cold air blows across these fans, changing to hot air, and heats up your space. So you don't get any fumes inside. Those torpedo heaters don't do that. All your fumes go right in the space where it's heating. So that's a slight difference, but I don't think it's worth $800. So I got this one. So this is how we're going to install this. The air is pulled from this side through to this side. This is where the hot comes out. So I need to orient this in such a way where I blow the hot into the room, not into the wall. So this plate, it gets mounted right here, just like this. So I'll just take that plate and see, where do I want to stick this heater? I think I want to move it a little bit more forward. What do you think?
Sure.
Yeah? I think that gives me enough space in the back where I can run other pipes and stuff through if I want to. And I can do like an elbow into the space underneath the bed. This is a good spot.
Yeah.
It's also not really in the way when we're building the rest of the truck. Okay. I'm going to use my tape measure to square all this up. It doesn't need to be crooked. 4 5/8. 4 5/8. Mark some holes on the ground. I'll use that one. So I went with this. This is the biggest hole saw that I have. You can't even see it. This is the biggest hole saw that I have. I went with this so that I can align it better. And there's not a wood next to the hot exhaust pipe.
Anything under there?
Let's see. Hey.
Doesn't look like it.
No, it does not look like it.
Nice.
This. Then I need some hardware. I'm getting cold already from this hole.
Yeah.
There comes a point when you're messing with small things that you keep your gloves on so that you stay warm. You take them off and get it over with quick because you want the dexterity. And if you wait too long to do one or the other, you lose them both. Not warm or dexterous. I wonder if I made the hole big enough now. Yep, I did. I'm not going to use these cheap hose clamps. Did I get enough rubber? I don't remember if I grabbed enough. I think I left the rest in the house too. So I got the two pieces, or I got the nylon piece into the rubber as far as I want. Now I'm going to put the rubber on the steel, on the heater side. And I'm going to squeeze this.
What do you have there in the middle?
Piece of rubber.
Oh, the pipe clamps. I see it.
Yeah. Oh, the clamps, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Make sure those are nice and tight. Everything's good. I had to take this bottom plate back off and feed this through first. They put a little hole right here so that you don't have to drill a third hole in your truck or your floor to mount this heater. So, I had to do that. This goes down first. And I'll trim it on the other side. This. And perfect. That's how it'll sit in the truck. This is the other end of that harness that goes into the heater and into the little control module that they have. So this part gets plugged in. And this goes to their control module. Can you hand it to me? I'll give you that. Okay. So this model comes with a little keychain remote, a little control module, and
You're moving too fast for the camera focus, Kimmy.
oh. This model comes with a little keychain remote and then a little control module, and then that just clicks in right there.
Yeah.
So before we go out there and spend a bunch of time trying to film this all cold, I'll just tell you in here. This, we got the system, or we have enough pieces in the system to come out of the tank in the rear, split off to one of these T's. Split off to one of these T's, and then go over to this heater, split off into another T. We're going to cap one side, and then the other side comes up to this heater. That gives me the flexibility to just add another one of these adapter fittings here and make the whole thing expandable to another heater in the cab if we want to do that later. So yeah, let's go build it. Okay. So when you're joining metal pipe to metal pipe, you want to use some sort of a thread sealant. I do this a lot for work, so I end up buying this tube instead of using the Teflon tape. This is so much easier, and this stuff that I use is rated for pretty much everything. We've got acetones, compressed air, oils, fuel, water. It's food safe. You can use it on your regular drinking water. This stuff it's good for everything. This is going to go like that. So I want the hose clamp to be on this side. So this is the computer power supply that we used to power the other heater. We're going to use that to power all of our, just double check and make sure there's a fuse actually in this fuse holder, because this thing was so cheap it may not have been. But we're going to use this computer power supply to power all our 12 volt stuff in the truck until we get our batteries. Then we'll switch over to batteries holder. Alright, so I just stripped the wires back and put a little pearl on it so that I can stab it into the fuse.
Can you turn a little bit so we can see it? There you go.
We need our ground setup. This doesn't have to clip back on here, but I'm going to, just to keep everything in one spot. A little bit neater. Put that over there. Alright. Let me plug it in. Plugged in. Power supply comes on. Controller light comes on. Right? So now, hit OK. It's so cold it doesn't move. It says -7C. What's that in Fahrenheit? Overloading it.
Overloading the power supply?
Yeah. So for now, I'm just gonna shove these wires right into the battery. Recording?
Yep, it's working. He has the positive and negative shoved in the battery terminal holes. It's starting to be warm. Yay!
Okay, so it's now morning time, and it's not -10 or whatever it was last time we were working on the truck. I think it's +5 or 6. I've got one heater right here, and then in the back, one more heater I'm gonna have right here. And I want to feed those off of one central tank. So I've got this hard line right here. It's a brake line. I just got it from O'Reilly's. And I made up a couple of fittings. I'm just going to plug this in. So now I've pretty much got everything where I want it, where I need it ran. I've got a valve over there, hard line all the way back here. My tank is going to be somewhere in this section, but on the other side of that black frame rail. And then I've got my last heater right there, tied in several locations. All that's left is to make the final connections to the pump, and I have to make a couple of cuts in this tubing. If you don't know how to do that, I'm going to show you. It's super simple. Get yourself a pipe cutter. This one's tiny because I'm cutting very tiny pipe. And you put it on the pipe, rotate it around, snug up the little red handle, rotate it around again, snug up the handle. That easy. Fell apart in my hand. There's that one heater running. I'm going to make sure the fuel is flowing. Let that get up to temperature, then I'll turn on the second heater. Alright, so this heater right here is running. Letting out hot air. And this heater over here is running. It too is letting out hot air. So I think that's it for this project. Both heaters are running and they're both running off one tank. It's the same size tank as this. This is the tank that came stock with the heaters. On it, it says that it's 10 liters, which is about 2.5 gallons. Well, that's not nearly enough. That'll probably run both of these heaters for one day, maybe two. It depends on if they can keep this on what temperature. It depends on what temperature we set it to. So that's not enough. We'll have to build a bigger tank. Not sure where we're gonna put it. Either build or buy a bigger tank. I'm thinking about 10 times that size, so about 20 gallons maybe. That'll last me 10 days. Yeah. Hopefully. But that's it for today. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you see something I missed, as always, please leave a comment down below. And see you guys on the next one.